trying to shut them up. What have they got? What's their hidden agenda? We wrote a position paper called Children at Risk, which basically took the consultation process that the government was involved in and broke it apart and exposed the myths behind it, that it was nothing to do with better care and it wasn't better services. It was all to do with privatization. It was all to do with the government abandoning its responsibility and accountability for what are the most vulnerable citizens in our society, children at risk. And then we made sure that position was flooded the province, and you know, to media outlets, to stakeholders, to anyone who'd be interested. What we started out was basic lobbying to get them to meet with their MLA, to meet with their town council, city council, you know, elected officials throughout the communities, to present this public position to them in whatever area of the province they lived in.
So if it's going to privatize or deregulate or engage in one of the many ways in which it divests itself of that service, it will have to usually pass a bill.
Before the bill had even been brought to the House, we managed to get a draft of it. And so in the first section of the bill, it had definitions. And their definition of community, they had a bunch of question marks. They didn't know themselves what the community was that they were talking about. The legislation that they actually enacted to regionalize children's services basically said that nobody, no contractor or nobody working on behalf of the authority who does anything wrongfully in good faith will be held accountable. Somebody needs to be responsible for children at risk. And with the government divesting itself of that responsibility and any agent working on behalf of the authority not being held responsible, who would it come down to? We dragged the process out. We made sure that it was stalled, that it kept hitting roadblocks, that we kept them sort of on their toes. It was just too damaging for them politically, and in the end they made the decision that they were not going to turn over the core child protection services to private agencies.
Privatization is happening both in large-scale public projects like Anthony Henday Drive, but it's also happening by stealth in terms of small, incremental pieces that are taken out of the public sector. And there's a great expression in Australia, they call it white anting. And they have these white ants that go up the inside of a tree and they eat the inside out slowly until there's nothing left but a hollow shell. And I think that we're looking at the white anting of many of our services here, especially healthcare and education, where bit by bit things are handed over to the voluntary sector in terms of parents or other volunteers, or contracted out piece by piece, or deregulated or de-insured. So it is sort of an internal hollowing out of what the public sees as critical public priorities.
The bottom line is this: anything that looks, sounds, or feels like the beginnings of a potential privatization of your job could be exactly that, and must be thoroughly investigated. This includes what some might call mere rumors or rumblings. Contact your union steward or your nearest union rep to assure the appropriate steps are taken. For further information, consult AUPE's Anti-Privatization Manual. And remember, your brothers and sisters in this union are committed to working together with you to keep it public.
Daddy's home!
Welcome home. I quit.
You can't quit.
Watch me.
How can you do this to me, to everyone?
20 hours, not enough pay.
This is a public service, isn't it?
Whatever, I don't care.
Whatever, what do you mean whatever? Whatever you're whatever. Ah, Mrs. J. What do you know about vehicle registration? What about domestic beer sales? What about bedpans? I know you're on top of that one. Hey, put that bottle back.